You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, I thought this was going to be the finale episode for season 6, but that is not going to be the case. I was just looking at what is going down the pipeline for this upcoming week, and I realized that if I didn't do a finale this upcoming weekend, that so much would have taken place that I would have felt propelled to do a special edition episode. So I'm not, because I feel like this upcoming week is going to lead to a bigger splash of a finale, and I'm going to let that play out. BT Awards is next week. The Bear is coming out this weekend. I had to watch that. I'm going to review it. Supreme Court decisions are coming up this week that are going to be pretty big. There's a lot going on, and so I don't want to let there be too much time that passes in between us doing, updates and following up. So I'm going to do the July 5th, 4th weekend-ish, 4th of Jamarcus, all of that July, 6th through 7th, I think there'll be no show, and it will come back the following week, July 14th or something like that, and do the season 7 premiere. But there's just too much going on this upcoming week that I was like, I feel like we should wrap up next Monday. Next Monday will be the finale of season 6. Take a cute break, and then we'll be back the following week after next week. So it'd be like almost like a 2-week break kind of thing, even though we're just skipping an episode, but it'll be like a 2-week gap for myself. And I'll be able to have a nice little reset and recharge. But the world is just worlding right now, and I just feel like it makes sense to do it that way, because so much is going on. I was just like looking at what's down the pipeline. I was like, I can't end this show like this. This is too many cliffhangers, and by the time we arrive with the season 7 premiere, I don't want to play catch up on all of that stuff, because I feel like this week is about to be crazy. I just have that gut feeling. It's just going to be crazy. So yeah. Well, it's finally summer, which I'm super excited for. Super, super summery, super heat wave. It's been a lot of heat, but I've been smart. I've been staying outside, or just getting away from being outside for as much as I can. Y'all have seen me out here rocking some cute fashion and threads and things, but sunset, okay? Sunset. We're not outside when the sun is all out. Like, I refuse. I've been making a point to avoid the crazy over-the-top heat. And I've been big on sunscreen, gotta do sunscreen. I guess I've gotten a little bit of a tan because I have had to go out for some things. But with the heat wave, absolutely not. I'm big on that. I'm big on sunscreen. I've definitely been embracing it more. Always have, but definitely am not played around with skipping days and things, because it's just the type of, it's too many. It's so hot outside that you can go, if you go and you can see the humidity, like you can see this, like this blaring humidity, almost like a mirage kind of thing. It's like, oh, that's too hot outside. Like when it's starting to visually show the heat, it's like, it feels like that the place is steaming. Outside is steaming. Nah, it's not a good look. But things should be calming down, I think, this upcoming week. I hope. But I'm not playing out here. Like all this, I want to go outside. Nah, it's giving the opposite of winter weather. Same thing in winter. Like winter, when it's super, super cold and it's snowing, you make one trip, and that's it. That's how I feel about this heat. I'm doing everything at night, sundown, early morning before the sun comes up. Like it's that kind of time. Like I'm not playing outside. I'm not doing all that. I haven't gotten any pools. That's just, swimming is not my thing like that. I can swim, but I'm just not in anyone's pool. But I've been keeping it cute. And I recommend you all do the same. It's not the time to play. It's too damn hot. Drink some water. Stay indoors. Stay air conditioned. Or go somewhere with air conditioning. Go to a really good department store that have phenomenal air conditioning. And just stay there for like an hour. Eat some ice cream indoors. Go to Liberty Place, and eat something, one of those little ice cream shops or whatever, and just sit there for an hour, okay, and cool off. But all this Center City sips and all this hoorah rah that's been going on, no sir, not me. It's so funny. I did a piece this month's Ask Eater Philly column that I do every month for the publication. There was a question that a reader sent to me asking me, are they too old to go to Center City Sips? And it was funny. It was several questions, and so you can check it out on the website. But they're 39 now, but they said the last time they went was like when they were 34, like before the pandemic. And they were just saying, like, are they too old to go? This, that, and the third. My response is very simple. I don't think the question is age as much. Like, I don't like to tell somebody you're too old to have fun or too old to have whatever. But what I also tell people that it's about a matter of taste and maturity. I think I matured out of Center City Sips at 32. Center City Sips has been around for like 20 years. So I remember, 10 years ago when I was a college intern and, I wasn't 22. I was a little bit younger. I think I was 21. I was 21 going to Center City Sips because I always spent most of my summers in Philly, except one summer I was in DC and I had a DC internship and all that. And I was in 2012, but I was 20 then. But then the summer of 2013, I was 21. And so that was that summer I was in Philly. And I remember that Philly summer. That was the last summer I was single and definitely a memorable summer. Sizzling hot Philly summer. But I did Center City Sips then. And it was fun. It was very, lively and, cheap drinks. Back then the drinks were $5. Now they're $7. The cocktails. I don't really see, I guess in retrospect, I guess that's a deal, I suppose. But I just remember it was like watered down cocktails, mixed drinks, $5. I wasn't trying to get drunk, but it was just like everyone out there was people my age. It was fun. It was just a young crowd. The DJ be out. It was a vibe. But now at 32, I don't know. Like, I have a younger brother. Everybody forgets. I have a younger brother who's in college. He's 21 now. So I'm like, you go. I'll cash app you some money. Go have a good time. He's back in Philly for a cool summer internship that he's doing. And I was just like, this is his first summer. So I was teasing. I was like, you going to go to Center City Sips? He's like, this is first, like, he's of age. This is a coming of age. Every young Philadelphian must have a Center City Sips. It's like birthright. So I told him, go, you should go and have a good time with your friends and stuff. So I think he went this past week. And he thought it was fun. And it's for them. That's how I feel. I think he can enjoy it. Like all those people, all that loud music, crowded folks, watered down drinks, go have a classless time. But for me, I'm not waiting in a long line. It's too hot outside. I don't have the patience. And it's too many people. And it's too mixy and too much. Like, I would rather go to a nice bar indoors that's got air conditioning, that's cool, that's chill. And I can have a nice cocktail, well crafted, well prepared, spend $12 or 13 or whatever, and just have a peace of mind and solace. Like, I'm that grown. I'm at that age. Okay. I'm grown. That's for me. Those days, I'm not hopping around on crawls and bar crawls. It's just not my thing, So I told this guy who's 39, which, again, not judging, but I'm just like, what you doing at Center City Sips at 39, sir? What you trying to go there for? Like, are you there for I didn't write that, but in my mind I was like, are you there for the girls? Like, what you there for? You trying to be Big Daddy? You what? You trying to come up in there with $100 bill and make it work? Cause that there you could come in there with $100 and show off and show out. Get 10 people in the line. You say drinks on me, first round on me with $70. 10 people in line, you got all their drinks covered. Like, you can be real flashy at a place like that. You try going to Del Frisco's on a Thursday night, or the W, break the bank there, pull out a card. Can't even pull out cash there, That's a different type of energy. But nonetheless, my advice was just basically, if you are looking for a level of maturity, chillness, the crowd is much younger, the crowds are much louder and wilder, and depending on what your taste is and your peace of mind, it's going to be a different vibe. So that was my piece of advice. That was my piece of advice for that person. And so that was the advice that I gave. But, speaking of cool treats and everything, cool treats. I've been in love. We did a list at Eater, George, did this really incredible list about summer treats, and we did summer cocktail lists. We just been putting out all the good summer vibes, and Cloud Cups is just out here killing it. If you're looking for a nice little summer treat, Cloud Cups Gelato, that black-owned gelato spot that I can't get enough of, they got a new line of all these cool experimental, gelatos and things and sorbets, vegan options, dairy-free, all that. They just got some really good taste. So I've been really enjoying the summer thus far with them, and just enjoying all their sweet treats. But yeah, been going out to a lot of restaurants. I went to a baby shower, and I haven't been to a baby shower in a while. And the funniest thing happened. You all saw it online. It's all about inclusivity. Like, I love inclusivity. I love it all. But it was so funny. They had invited myself and Mr. Johnson. They invited us, and they put us at a table, and it said, my name, Ernest Owens, and said, Barry Owens. Now, Mr. Johnson's last name is Johnson. They spelled his first name like a berry, like as in like a berry, which is weird, but whatever. But the last name was Owens, and I cracked up. I said, oh, and of course, they were the straights. The straights always do that. The straights just, they just assume that, gay marriage, whether it is, everybody got the same last names. I don't know that many gay couples that switch names. If they do the whole two last name thing. Beyonce knows Carter. They do that kind of thing where they put the two names on and hyphenated for the names. We didn't do that. We just kept our last names. I have a last name. It's iconic. It's been with me. Mr. Johnson has his last name. It's his last name. It's his, it's what he knows. I crackled, and I was laughing with my friends. I was like, oh, they think they think he would be the one to change his last name. I mean, listen, I just find it funny how people perceive things. I was like, I just thought that was funny. But it just tickled me. I don't know why I get a laugh out of it, because it's just, if there was, see, that goes into another conversation. It is Pride Month, but no, that's too much conversation. Too much for the podcast. Some people might get through the ad-libs of what I'm implying or I'm laughing about. Others may not. It might fly right past you, and that's fine. It should fly right past you. It's of no consequence. But I just laugh for so many reasons about it. But the straights are just so funny, because the thing is that, I mean, most people, I'm seeing more and more straight people get married, and the women don't change their last names, but a lot of them do. They'll just take on the last name, and that's what the patriarchy does. But it just doesn't work that way in certain cases. And so, like, when we got married, it was never a conversation. Just kind of like, we just was like, we don't need to, we don't have to, and we just did it. But people still knew that we were married. There's ways to prove that you're married without having to change your last name. You can still change your last name and still, listen, okay, let me not go there. People be out here Oh, I changed my last name, so therefore, that's Bane is mine. Okay. There's a lot of people that do all that. I'm Mrs. So and so. Okay. But the Mister there is still out here acting like he got a lot of mistresses or mistresses. So don't get it. Don't get all caught up in the surname. But we just thought it was funny because we've never used it on anything. I've never been anything. I've never been Ernest Owens Johnson or any of that or the other vice versa. It's just never been. So it's just like it's just funny. Straight people are hilarious. So that happened. But I went to a lot of restaurants this week. I went out to Bryn Mawr and tried Fiore Rosso with my good girl Lauren. We had dinner there and caught up. A very good time. Good Italian food, nice little escape. I've been really on this wave of like trying to branch out and go to restaurants, and do not send me any recommendations. Trust me, I have a long list of places. I don't want any recommendations. I think I'm gonna like do like a whole series, like no recommendations. You know, I say no reservations, like when Anthony Bourdain was like no reservations. This is like no recommendations. I not that I don't trust people's taste. It's just that I don't think people understand this. I am a food editor. I'm a restaurant coverage news editor. I tell people where to go every single day. Trust and believe. I know. I promise you I do. And I will tell you this. If I haven't said anything about it, it's because either A, I'm about to go try it out, or B, I didn't like it and I already had it, or I already know enough about the place and things. Trust and believe. It's so weird. People send me DMs of stuff I see on Instagram or influencers and be like, oh, God, I've seen this 5,000 times. It kind of reminds me of like Justin Timberlake. Like, love you all down, but y'all be sending me these memes. I live on the internet half of the day. Trust me. I see a lot of things. I don't share everything because I'm an obsessive fan. But I am the media, and the media is me, and we are the news, and the news is us. We see everything. I promise you we do. If you saw it and you're barely on the internet, trust and believe, someone like me, I've seen it. I've seen all the memes. What annoys me is that I get them and people be like, think I didn't see it. No, baby, we're not the same. I've saw it. And half the time it don't even be funny or be problematic or I already laughed. And now that I've seen it 7 times and like dozens of people send the same thing, you get like, okay, I saw this. It's like being on a playlist and you're hearing the same song over and over again. Kind of like Sabrina Carpenter, Espresso. We'll talk about her later in this show, but I do like that song, but we'll talk about that later in the show. But you get that thing where people be like, oh, did you see it? And like, yes, we saw it, dear. I saw it. I did. I just didn't share it because I don't live my life trying to just like be a regurgitator of information. But 9 times out of 10, the doll saw it. But yeah, it's sometimes it could be overwhelming. I ain't gonna hold y'all. It could be overwhelming sometimes. Like the consistent barrage of media, especially when things go viral, it could just be overwhelming. Not gonna complain because people gonna do it anyway, but just it's a lot. But yes, went to Fioroso in Bryn Mawr. Great food, nice vibe, very, very spacious place. They have a new black executive chef there, a black woman who's there, who's killing in the kitchen. Definitely suburban vibes on the outside of the place because it's connected to a plaza, but inside it's like a whole new universe, and it was very pretty. So I had a really good time. I really did. It was really good food. Got to go to Mulheron's Pizzeria, which is not Mulheron's in Fishtown. Mulheron's, this is in Market East, right across the street, or right now across the street, right across from the Canopy, which is where the Wayward is, that hotel, the Canopy, where the Wayward, it's right across from there. It's on the other side, like right in front of each other. And very great place, great cocktails, really, really good pizza. I really like their pizza. Like, very, very good. Very fun place. They have lots of pasta. They got other small plates and dishes. A really good time. I have no complaints. Enjoyed myself. Highly recommended. I went with my good Judy Charnay, catching up from her. She was my good friend who gave me some good tea at my pen reunion last month. And we made a point that now that she's back in Philly, we're going to be hanging out and we definitely have been doing that. So she's been just so sweet and love her to bits. Um, I had a lot of time with girls this week. Hung out with all my good girlfriends this week. Was at the Pyramid Club. Did a special episode of just this really great show. My good friend Kelly Mirbot has a podcast, as you all know, that is really hot. And I've gone on the show before, but love this. We did this episode. Kind of feel like it was like a following up, like those human interest shows where you interview somebody. Her show is called Hidden Human, and we recorded that episode at the Pyramid Club this past week. Had lunch. Fabulous time. You all know my history at the Pyramid Club. I done come a long way back from my days, like 10 years ago, actually. 10 years ago this summer, it was 2014. That was the place where the woman who is no longer alive, she's dead now, RIP, but I was scammed. There was a woman who used to, I don't know if I told y'all this story. Maybe I told y'all a long time ago, but when I first graduated from Penn, I went through the BET Awards, did all that apprenticeship stuff. But I came back to Philly, stayed in Philly, and I was working at a little small startup that was supposed to be the Forbes of small Black businesses. It's like startup publication. It was supposed to be the editor-in-chief of it. There was this woman who's no longer alive. But at the time, I worked under her. She was operating out of the Pyramid Club. She had office space. I was not getting paid at the time because I was doing a quote-unquote fellowship. The goal was I was going to start the job with her full-time in January 2015, but I built up the event, was building up the publicity. We had a launch party at the Pyramid Club, rooftop, bar popping, everything. Come to find out in January of 2015, after building this brand and really doing the work, at that time I wasn't really getting paid. I was just basically getting paid in food. So I was over there high life. Okay, I was getting Cobb salads with steak and drinking martinis. I mean, this is one of my first like in-depth grand experiences, in adulthood, coming right out of college. Long story short, this woman was doing everything on credit. She ran up the credit that she had at the Pyramid Club, blew off $10,000 in credit, owed them money, was just running everything on credit cards and stuff, didn't have no real money to give me, screwed me over, basically threatened me and basically told me that if I wanted to get my money to get paid, because everybody had left at that point, that I would have to take her to small claims court. At that point, I didn't have the means to understand how to get money to go to small claims court. Plus, the amount was low that it would have been worth the fight to do it. So I had to pay it to the game. Long story short, years later, I'm bumping to this woman again. And then the following year, which was last year, she passed away suddenly. Life hits people fast. It's just baffling. But yeah. So I've been to the Pyramid Club since then, but I remember with the usual place when I was coming, I remember I would see people. I was embarrassed. I was like, yeah, I used to be up in here and, working for a crook. I mean, people finally realized that I wasn't affiliated with the bullshit, but it was awkward in the beginning. I was like, damn, these people they probably look at me like we only take card or cash. It's like, but I was going to other events then. But that was the beginning of my Philadelphia media career, was through scams. That's why I hate scams. I don't know if people know that, but because I was scammed. And so that's why I'm always big on exposing scammers and talking about that shit, because that's just not okay. People be out here faking it till they making it, lying, using real people with talent, innocent people who mean well, that want to do well. I was a young, aspiring, journalist trying to go out here and make an honest living. And here I am getting fucked over by this horrible person. I mean, this person is no longer living, so, I don't want to speak too ill and dead, but shit be real. And, that publication never end up manifesting and becoming a thing and really happening. And they went off to screw other people over, as I would find out later over the years. But damn, just do right by people. You never want to be in a position where you've passed and this is how people describe you. But anyway, here I am 10 years later at the Pyramid Club, working with legit people, recording a podcast, having lunch, and doing my thing. Life just is full circle sometimes in the weirdest ways. But yeah, it was good to catch up with Kelly. The episode's coming out in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned to that. I was on a special podcast with a young little woman named Dom, and she is the chief of staff for Councilman Isaiah Thomas, Councilmember at large Isaiah Thomas. But she has her own show, her own podcast. It's called Unabridged. The episodes on YouTube. Is also in my IG story. If you go to my not IG story, my IG link in bio on my IG. So if you go to the link in my bio, that I put the episode there. You can find it on the internet. But this episode is called Unabridged. Or Unabridged is the name of the show. But it's a really fun feature interview, just talking about my book, The Case for Council Culture. Just about other stuff, my thoughts on politics. So her name is Dom Miller. The show was called Unabridged, but she spells it UNABRDG. And I did the season finale of her first season of the show. So I was the grand finale, and we did our big one on that show. And it was a great episode. Lots of great people, lots of great excitement, lots of great energy. And it was cool. And it's on Spotify, which, I'm not on. But she also does YouTube. And it's on Amazon Music. So you can check it out there. It should be on Apple. I don't know why she don't put it on Apple. But she has it on there. So a lot of people are excited. And yeah, it's going to be fun. So make sure you tune in. Check it out. It's out right now. You all can check it out. Yeah. So, yeah. So moving along, I got to catch up with my good Judy, Dr. Parks. We had dinner. We had Indian dinner at this incredible spot that's iconic in University City, New Delhi. Shout out to New Delhi. I love me some New Delhi. New Delhi is just fabulous. We had an Indian buffet. Sometimes when you're indecisive about what to eat and where to eat, I always tell people, go to New Delhi. It's Indian buffet. Indian buffet is like a thing. And it's crazy because like throughout my entire living in the world, it's nothing like a Philly Indian restaurant buffet. Like there's a bunch of Indian buffets throughout Philly, especially in University City, West Philly area. It's a bunch of spots. But I love me a good Indian buffet. I just do. Because like Indian food, I mean, for me, it's like I like everything. So I like the goat curry, the chicken tikka masala, the butter chicken, the naan, the special spice rice, the bread pudding. I mean, it's just so many different things you can eat. And so it's like, I don't want to have to pick one entree. I just want to eat everything. And so but my experience with Indian food has always been, if it's not an Indian buffet, I'm not going. I just want the whole buffet situation. I just want to eat everything. It's like, I can't just sit down and just pick one entree. I mean, I've done it before. Jamarcus and I went to an Indian restaurant a couple of weeks ago. We had a good time. That food was good. He knows what I'm talking about. That was good. It's on Chestnut Street. I don't know the name of it. It was a previous Indian restaurant. Then it became something else. But it's right there on Chestnut. It was cute. We had a good time there. We did. We wasn't even expecting to go. We just was like hungry, and we went somewhere that didn't really have that much food. And it was like, what are we doing? And we were just like, let's go here. We went to Lock Bar, and we had like some cocktails. We went to a mixer, and it was just like, they had like the orange crushes and all the great drinks. But we was just like, we still wanted to eat something. And so we went to this spot, and we just really chowed down. It was not buffet style, but the entree was giving. It was really good though. So there is sometimes you could catch a couple of good spots. But, I just like a buffet if I can. So we just caught up, and it was a good time. She made plans. So, we made it happen. And then we turned around and watched a lot of trash TV that night with Joe. And it was funny because it was looking at some show we was watching with Drewski, which I don't really pay much mind to this guy. I didn't even know he had a whole show. But it was just too ratchet for my taste. Now, y'all judging me and saying, see, his ratchet is prank ratchet, where everything is just silly and goofy. I like an element of real ratchet, like Baddies or Love and Hip Hop, where there's like real lives being fucked over, impacted by the ratchetness, not people just making a sketch of the ratchetness. I want the real raw ratchetness, where this is real stuff that is happening and people are cutting up. I enjoy that level. I think the sketch stuff is just like, well, it's not really happening. I want some real action. I want to see real fights. Okay, no violence, but still, points are being made. Points to be obeyed. So yeah, it's been quite a catch up with my homegirls, but I also had a lovely date night um, at a kitchen, which I've been going to quite frequently. But they've been doing these really cool, like pop up dinners and previews of places, and so we did Moon Rabbit, which is a DC owned restaurant, but it's Vietnamese, and it was like a wine pairing tasting situation. And we had like a cute little Sunday night supper situation as a nice little cute date night. And we went there. It was at a kitchen, but the restaurant is called Moon Rabbit. They did a pop up at their kitchen, and this restaurant is in DC. But it was really, really good. It was like a four-course pre-fixed menu situation, and it was fabulous. And I haven't had any Vietnamese food or cuisine like that in Philly. I mean, there's some really great restaurants. There's Vietnam, which is iconic. There's a couple other places in Chinatown, but nothing on that fine dining type of tip. I don't think there's anything like it in Philly. And I wonder if they're doing a pop up here with the thought of potentially coming to Philly eventually. Like, because I'm just like, well, why would a DC restaurant just do a little pop up here in Philly just for for a weekend? That sounds like you're trying to test. You're trying to test the waters and see, But Moon Rabbit is popping. Stay woke for that. I would say that stay in tune if you hear about it. You heard it here first. For folks that are in Philly, if you DC folks, you might already know about Moon Rabbit, but just keep your eyes open if that restaurant finds itself in Philly in a year or so, because that's what happened with Lock Bar. I remember my Baltimore trip to Lock Bar. We went to all the Atlas Lip Brothers went down there, and then look what happened. Lock Bar came to Philly that fall, and became a thing. But we knew, Lip Brothers knew when we had the experience in Philly. We knew, in Baltimore, we knew if something like that was to come to Philly, it was going to shake the table. And it did. Everybody down there on Broad Street. Broad Street has had a revival. Okay, a Broad Street revival for a lot of reasons. You got Wilma Theater winning Tonys. You got Lock Bar over there doing his thing. Steak 48 staying strong. You got Kimmel Center doing his thing, or Kimmel Cultural Campus, or Ensemble Arts, what the fuck I want to call itself this week. But everybody's, it looked like Broad Street is having a revival right now. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But other news, I was pleased to finally be able to share the news that I had received this incredible award from the African American Chamber of Commerce. Another year, another award, as always. But I won this Impact 10 Leaders in Legacy award, and I was given honors for being an industry leader and executive for the work I do as the CEO of Ernest Media Empire, which is cool. Very nice event. It was at Car Barth over there in Kenwood. Couple of big names and fancy folks and all that was there. I was on Sirius in my beautiful tropical ensemble. It was the first day of summer, and so I wanted to kick off summer, and so I wore this lovely suit. I've been falling in love if I can get design, and I've been getting designs of cool, fun, full, ensemble pieces where I can have the blazer, the pants tailored right, get a nice design. No one's going to wear that outfit. You're never going to see another body in that suit. Okay, get it custom. I just got to find where I'm going to wear it and how I'm going to do it. But I got a couple that I have in my closet that I got made, in the summer, not in the summer, in the spring, late spring. And I had some ideas and got some pieces made. And I have got a couple of them, but I'm saving them for situations where, okay, where would this make sense? Like, I think I have my birthday suit. Like, I think I know what I'm wearing to my birthday. Already have it on the calendar. Already got the fit, know I'm going to wear. The question is will I change my mind and wear a completely different outfit or get another situation made? Because I'm good for that too. But in the event that I don't, I have a birthday outfit that is one of a kind. You're not going to catch anyone wearing it but me. And it's cute. So I got a couple of pieces like that. That one I wanted to pop out, and it was unexpected. I found out I was going to get this award like a week ago, and I didn't have too much time to really do much preparing. But I was like, "Ooh, where should I wear it?" I was like, "You know what? It's going to be the first day of summer. It's going to be fun. It's going to stand out. Is it super professional? Who cares? I want to wear it." And I was definitely the best dressed, as what people said. People said I was the best dressed there. I mean, you know, they saw. And it was a good time. I looked cute. I had a good time. It was nice to win. Shout out to the other honorees who won in their respective categories. But it was a good time. And I had a fun. I in my post when I shared the news, I said, that for the past decade I had unlearned and reimagined what the role of will look like to be, an executive, an industry, leader, like, that type of title like 10 years ago, when I first started out graduating from college, going into the professional field. I never would have imagined, that I would be so quickly, so rapidly on this just journey in this way. And so, I talked about that. It takes a lot of resilience. It rejecting dated advice from skeptics, being at peace with taking a lot of risk alone, which is important. And embracing what's pouring into you more than what's not worthy, which are some valid things that I definitely have navigated over these years. But my 3-week reworked pieces of advice that I gave and I shared was, one of them was, don't let anyone tell you when it's your turn, because it's your turn whenever you decide it is, period. Because oftentimes people always say, you wait your turn, whatever the hell that means, right? Burn bridges that are no longer, holding you, because they've lost the entire point of what the bridge is supposed to be. So you're often told, don't burn bridges. But I think some of the best career moves in my life has been burning bridges, because those bridges are no longer bridges. Bridges are supposed to guide you and support you as you cross one path to another. In life, you'll recognize that a lot of things that present itself to be a bridge, you find out is not. It's a gatekeeper. It's not a bridge. It's a gatekeeper at the door. And so you have to decide how to navigate that. And so I've definitely have cut people off. I've definitely have burned certain bridges that were no longer supporting me. And you should, because to hold on to it or let it continue to act as such when it's not is just going to put you through more headache and annoyance. And then my last advice was lead with conviction and passion, because what's the point of being a leader if you don't stand on business with love? I think being a leader, I think you can do both. People always tell people lead with love, lead with this. And that's true. You should lead with passion and love and peace and all that. But you also should lead with conviction. And that's been one of the strong things that I have taken with me over the years, is that we sometimes, feel uneven or uneasy with leaders who are just very, determined, but very much so settled on their decision making and have resolve. And that's what's missing in our world right now. I think we have a lot of wishy-washy world leaders, not enough leaders putting their foot down and standing up for what they believe in and not flintering, not faltering. A lot of leaders that we have nowadays are just kind of, sometimey. They want to try to make everybody happy. They want to play both sides. They want to acquiesce. They want to, and we need leaders that are strong and bold and stand, that are fierce, that are going to be like, yeah, this is what we're doing and this is why, and we're gonna stay the course. We don't have leaders like that as much anymore. And I think when we do meet leaders like that, we try to frame them as dictators or evil people. And it's like, no, leaders are put to task to make decisions, strong decisions, and they stand by it, and they don't flinch, and they don't bend. They listen, they learn, they reflect, they recalibrate, but they at the same time stick with the decision and stay the course. And we're not seeing enough of that in the world today. And I was reading an article, I think it was the New York Times, it was a column, I believe, talking about how our world leaders are failing us. That after the Cold War, there was a thought that, world leaders will understand, like, we shouldn't be having people near famine, right? There shouldn't be these world crises that we're seeing now, humanitarian crises, that because we were supposed to have a new world order of leadership, that folks could be able to immediately see something wrong, immediately clamp down on it, and really prevent the shit that we're seeing now. And somehow that didn't happen, right? People got too wussy. We were living in a culture of wussy ass, leaders. And that's creating the problems. And now I'm starting to recognize how conviction leaders, for better or for worse, is how we're seeing people support leaders that they shouldn't. There's a reason why I think certain people flock to Trump. Not because Trump makes any goddamn sense, but because in his nonsense, Trump is 10 toes down on his nonsense. There's a level of praise and respect people have for that with him. That they were like, Trump says it like it is. He's this, and this. And the reality is that I don't think that people recognize, or the admiration for his appeal is being missed in his message. And there's a reason why. And I was having a really good conversation with one of my friends who's going to be elected official. We talked about this, but you can get confused conviction with accuracy. That because somebody is very accurate, or not, very, not accurate, but very confident in what they're doing, that you can confuse that confidence with competence. Because you're thinking, well, if they're saying it with this level of assertion and determination, then they must be competent. That's not always the case, which is why I tell people you have to have conviction and compassion. The compassion in the sense that you are respectful, you have dignity, you have respect for folks, you have a level of humility and humanitarianism, right? You have to have that compassion with the conviction. Because if you just have the conviction alone, you could be arrogant, you could be a tyrant, you could be a dictator, right? You have to have both. What I'm seeing on the other side is that because we are lacking so many leaders with conviction, that any leader with a level of conviction or confidence and assertiveness in what they're doing, we typically look at them as something of competence automatically. Because the problem is good leaders or people that are doing the right thing do not have conviction. The people that know what the right thing is are nervous and they're trembling and they're so scared and they're timid and they're overthinking shit. What the fuck? If you're right, you're fucking right. And stand 10 toes down on the rightness of what you're saying. And I think that's what we're missing. There's cowardice in folks being right. Motherfuckers be like, I think I have the right answer. No one have the right answer. Everybody's so fucking coy. Oh, well, I'm going to do this thing. I did a little thing. And it's like, what the fuck is a little thing? It's not a little thing. It's a big deal. And you're doing something good and you need to be confident in it. Because you're speaking to the masses and you're doing shit that's going to make an impact. And if you're going to make an impact that's good, why are you doing it so fucking coy? We're losing the goalpost. We're letting bad guys win in this world because the bad guys are very much oh, you're not going to get up and say something right? Well, I'm going to get up and say something wrong. And shit, I'm going to say it with my chest out. They're going to be loud and wrong, but they're going to have it with a lot of confidence. And if you're in a society that's lacking hope and needs strength, a very strong-willed loser will win off of just appeal alone. And so we're dealing with a situation in our political climate which brings me to Trump in a minute, is that people are getting to a point where they're seeing a lot of Trump behavior. They're saying, why is Trump still getting people? Because we do have a presidential candidate that is appearing weak. I'm not saying he's weak, but he appears to be weak based on the ways in which he responds and engages with some of the issues that are impacting Americans, right? The causes that we care about, the stuff that we're speaking up about, it's taking shape in a very interesting way. And that's how we get to a situation where people are all scared and worried. Like I've said before, and I will continue to say it on every episode, I don't care about you folks out here doing, I'm worried about Trump, this and this. Listen, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because if you're not doing anything about it, I don't really care. You're not that scared. Because if you're really scared, You're going to do everything you can to prevent certain things from happening on November 5th. But if you're walking around talking something, I don't know, I'm worried, it's because you're probably a white person that has the affordability and the comfort to basically, live with either outcome. I'm not going to play onto what I think could be happening or what I fear. Because as long as I'm around under my watch, I'm going to do everything with my influence and my powers that be to make sure that Donald Trump does not get reelected. I don't care about what it's looking like, because a lot of things look like a lot of things. Once upon a time in 2008, no one thought that a black man whose middle name was Hussein and last name was Obama could win the presidency. But he did, because people got up and showed the fuck up. Okay? This man was going against a Clinton who had more visibility, political ties, connections than this man ever had. But with the strength and confidence of people who said, I don't care what they say, what the statistics say, whatever the polls say. This man, I want him to be the next president. He became the next president. And then got reelected again. And probably would have got reelected again if we could do 3 terms. So I say all this to say, we've done it before and we can do it again. And as long as we got enough time, even though time is ticking, to really make this a reality like we did in 2020. To be honest, I keep telling people, to me, 2020 was scary as hell because there was a pandemic. There was all these obstacles. We didn't know how people was going to vote. It was people going to go out and vote. Was mail-in voting going to work? Was people going to be able to do that properly without any bullshit? There was a lot of things over people's head. And yet, in spite of that, that was the most engaging election of our time. I will continue to remind people that Joe Biden is arguably the most electorally popular president in American history. He's gotten more popular votes than any president before him, any candidate before him. So if he could do that in a pandemic against an incumbent, then don't tell me what can't happen in 2024. Because we could keep talking about the optics and all this other shit. But again, get your ass out there and go get those votes. Everybody, get your votes. Have conversations, register people, get the people that matter to matter. Period. Which brings us to this past weekend. Donald Trump came to Philly, North Philly. He was at the Leocora Center, which is on Temple's campus. Full disclaimer for people to understand, Temple does not control the Leocora Center and who they bring in as vendors and venues. They don't have any sway. That space is open space for anyone. So I tell people, everybody was ready. People were trying to get ready to be like, why Temple? Don't look at Temple. Don't blame Temple. Temple can't do nothing about any of that, right? Like, at the end of the day, he was a sitting U.S. president. He is a former president. No one's telling the president you can't use a public space. It's just, he can use it, right? It is what it is. Now, let's talk about that event. There were people there, but not North Philly, clearly. North Philly has like 10% non-white Hispanics. That room was about 90% white, okay? The crowds were white. It was a white Trump rally in North Philly. White people from the suburbs from all over came over to go to that damn event. They were not in Philly. It was obvious these people are not Philadelphians. It was not a North Philly crowd. That's just what it was giving. Trump just needed space to have a rally. He likes to start shit. He likes to create problems. He needed a space. Leocora Center was it. Was the place packed? It was not. That arena, that Leocora Center fits 10,000 people max. He didn't have 10,000 people in there, okay? But he had some bodies in there. There were some bodies. I mean, and it was not like some empty-ass arena, right? But it was like about half empty. I think it was like 50%. He probably had about roughly 5,000, 6,000 people there. Which, I'm not bothered. People get bothered. I don't know how people are bothered. Let's be real. These people are elected officials. Trump's got, Trump's got everything going on. So it's no craziness. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's no craziness. Um, it's no craziness when it comes to this. So people be acting like, oh, nobody should be at a Trump rally. Child, it's gonna be somebody's. But the question becomes, what bodies? Who, right? And I think people get so caught up in everything, where, they see people go, and every single time Trump do something, there's all these fucking panic attacks. Oh my goodness, I saw Trump he had a rally and people were there. I don't know about this election, y'all. Shut up. Like, please. Because here's the reason why I say that. Biden had about 4, 5, 10 rallies in the past 3 months in Philly. And he's got crowds, he's got people out, and nobody pays attention because they take it for granted. They take for granted the groundwork that's happening with the Biden campaign. Biden's got several headquarters all up and down. He got one in North Philly. He got one in Center City. He's got one all throughout Pennsylvania and all across the country. Trump don't have no fucking headquarter offices across the country. He's finally making some money now. His fundraising has been increasing. He doesn't have more than Biden, but he is raising money now. The conviction got his crazy supporters to drop some money, but he has not been able to really invest the money into some serious, impactful things. Now, he might run some ads, but it's really rare that he might run TV ads without putting some money on some grassroots efforts. So he is trying to play catch up, and it's like there's already a grounds game for Biden in these battleground states. Trump is not putting money everywhere. He's trying to put some money in Pennsylvania because Pennsylvania is a very big battleground state. But I just want people to stop acting like fucking 5-year-olds and stop it. Because you're not helping anyone. You're panicking and you're whining and you're bitching. It's not helping anyone. It's not helping the outcome. And if you're not going to read and be informed across the board, please don't talk to me about it. I'm serious. It probably is my biggest pet peeve of the season is whiny ass Democrats bitching about every time Trump does something. Shut up. I don't care. I don't. Because here's the reason why. I do this for a living. I do this and I do it with the sheerness of reading and passion. The worst thing you can do to a doctor is tell a doctor how to do their motherfucking job. Unless you are a doctor and maybe y'all can converse. But the worst thing you could do is tell a doctor how to do their job. The worst thing you could do is tell a Michelin star chef how to fucking cook. It's just the worst. The worst thing you could do is tell a political journalist about your predictions off of a fucking Twitter or a thing you saw on the internet. I don't care. You're the worst person. You're not the worst person, but it is the worst people thing. It's my biggest pet peeve. I think about certain conversations I've heard like over the past several months. I'm just like, where do you get your information from? You just what? You saw a video, you saw a video clipping of a crowd of Trump supporters, and you were like, oh my God. Listen. Listen, right? None of your supporters, right? None of these people, okay? Everybody's got a team. Everybody's got players. There are still R. Kelly fans in the world. There are still people that listen to R. Kelly. Not a vast majority of people, but there's still people that like R. Kelly. And they will die liking R. Kelly. There are people in the world that's going to die backing George W. Bush. And there's going to be people that's going to still ride for O.J. Simpson. There's going to be people that's forever going to, rock with Diddy and never care what happened to Cassie or anybody else. There's just going to always be people like that in the world. And that same goes for a former U.S. president that's still alive. Every president has a group of fans. Whether we like them or not, every U.S. president has fans. You don't get elected if you don't. And so at the end of the day, Trump got votes and was elected president. Millions of people in this country voted for him. And millions of people in this country still like him. They don't care about these convictions. They don't. But the key figure is, do the majority of Americans like Trump? I think the answer is no. I think that when we saw the popular vote, we saw, actually both times, if we want to be honest. In 2016, Trump did not win the popular vote. Hillary did. But Trump won the electoral vote, which is the electoral college. 2020, Biden had the popular vote and the electoral vote, which the electoral vote sadly matters. So let's be very clear. Historically, Trump has never been a popular president when it comes to voting. He's never won the popular vote when it comes to actual populations of people. He's only won the electoral vote one time. And let's also be very clear that in spite of the fact that the Republican Party, which he has manipulated, brought his family, in-laws into the mix because he is the last incumbent to hold, the last person to hold the seat, of course, he continues to be considered the face of the Republican Party. And again, he's popular amongst his party, but his party is not that damn popular in the larger schemes of things. Why do I say this? Because Republicans have not been dominating and taking over a goddamn thing since Trump been elected. Ever since Trump has been elected, they've lost the Senate. They've lost, they barely would hold on to the House. They still are holding on to the House barely. They lost the Senate. They've lost the White House. Several gubernatorial races across the country, they've lost. They've lost governor seats. They've lost Senate seats. They've lost the Senate. They've lost a lot of seats, y'all. They have not been having this huge uproar ever since Trump's been elected. I feel like ever since Trump been elected, the highest they've been was when he was elected in 2016. They've never hit that high since then. Everything has since been has been a fall. And ever since then, Democrats have been picking up pieces ever since then and reclaiming the power that they once had when Obama was in office. So there has been a very interesting reversal of fortune. It's happening very glacially. Like, it's not like the Democrats have kind of uptick in taking over everything, but they have been slowly but surely rising in power across various state and national races. And if you can't see that and you haven't been noticing that shift, it's because you just don't wake up and see it because you only care about problems. And that's the problem with the Democratic Party. And what annoys me about Democrats is that there's this level of just like, you're just vacationing, cruising off of great legislation that Biden has done. Biden has done some good things, right? And people have benefited from those policies. But then every time it's election season, you all just act like, there's just been nothing but L's and losses. No, I would argue the Democratic Party has a problem with messaging. I think everybody has said that. They don't know how to speak about their victories enough. Maybe they should hire someone like, no, not me, because I won't do it. But they should hire somebody, that could listen to me and communicate it better. But they're not doing enough of that. They're just not putting enough focus on the things they should. I think they've gotten a little bit better, but I think that we gotta get to a better position where we're not being reactive and we're being more proactive. I'm sick of the reactiveness. Every time Trump do something, that's what gets everybody out the bed to react. Like, I'm tired of that. If you're the type of Democrat or liberal that's only reactive to Trump, then you're not really a Democrat, okay? I'm going to keep it 100. Because, for example, the Trump rally, that was pretty much basic. The man was rambling off the rails. He didn't say anything profound. He doesn't have any black support. And I'm going to tell you white people something, listen to this podcast. Don't talk to me about Trump and black voters. Don't have that conversation with me. The conversation will forever be on white voters and Trump. White women, white men, that's what y'all need to be worried about. Don't talk to me about black voters and Trump. It doesn't exist. There's no relationship there. There's no massive exodus. It's not really happening. The hype, I know. There are some media outlets that want to act like there's something there. They want to keep pivoting off of white people. White voters will make and break this election like they've done every single election. White voters make and break elections. They're the majority, okay? When white women pivoted, okay, and left Obama and did not back Hillary and went to Trump, that determined the 2016 election. It was white women voters in addition to trash-ass white men who didn't move, okay? Uneducated white men, basically white men who don't carry degrees, were a part of that pivot. Now, Obama was good at getting those people. And then Biden turned around and got them back. And the suburban white women turned around and went to Biden as well. Now, based on how suburban white women have been, it's been showing the trend that because of Roe v. Wade being repealed, that they will continue that fight. And it continues to get better, right, for Democrats. Focus on the strengths. Amplify the truth. amplify the undeniable facts and stick with the fucking data in your favor. All this other shit that we're doing right now is bullshit. Which brings me to that event at North Philly. There was this rally of Democrats that came out and did a side across the street protest rally against Trump. Child, listen. I guess. I think it was a waste of resources. I think it was a waste of time. Having people out there in a heat wave in the heat, okay, 90 plus degree weather to go out and hunk. Listen, I guess. I just don't understand what's the reason, what's the point. I keep telling people, and this is one of my arguments and theories, and the reason why we keep hearing a lot about Trump in certain situations is because there are certain grassroots Democratic organizers that feel like they have to just drag him. And then what happens is we get more attention on Trump in the media because when Democrats come out, it becomes a political clash and everyone loves a good old horse race. Everybody likes a great old political clash. So then we have to feel like everybody has to feel like they have to cover it. The reality is that North Philly was not going to a Trump rally. They had it in North Philly, but black and brown people did not really go. Trump can sit up and have all these drill rappers that he done paid off to try to act like he's appealing to black voters. Ain't nobody falling for that. No one's falling for those shenanigans. A couple of dudes that are broke and desperate for attention and need some relevancy are going to do what they're going to do. Okay? That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like there's a lot going on there. And it's just a bunch of fluff and a bunch of smoke and mirrors. And I just wish that we as folks, smart, intelligent people, stop falling for the okie doke and biting the bullet and all of that. Pay attention to the serious issues that matter. Okay? This debate coming up this week, yeah, that we should watch that. I don't know if the debate's going to change outcomes, but the debate will tell us a lot. And what I really want people to see, because let me tell you one thing the media hasn't been doing enough of, which I'm happy for. Have y'all noticed that a lot of the Trump rallies, first of all, Trump is not even doing that many rallies because he's tied up in court cases. So let's talk about the fact that, okay, this is like the first major Trump rally he's done in years in Philly or in Pennsylvania. He has not done that many rallies. So for him to get about 5,000 mega supporters to come out, I'm not surprised because he hasn't been doing that many of them. And honestly, they still want to rock with their boy, but it's not enough to move the needle. So for Democrats to just have wasted resources and energy, having people come out and do that little counter rally was just like, okay, sure, all right. It doesn't really move the needle. Nothing moves the needle. And I just wish everybody would stop being so reactive to Trump. Like every time Trump comes and do something, it's like everybody's got to react and it's just like so performative. It's so performative. Like it is. Because I'm just sitting here like, okay, so you did all of that. And now what? Okay. What did he do? Yeah, I'm over it. I'm over that. There's bigger fish to fry, people. There's bigger conversations to be had. Register your friends to vote. Make sure they register to vote. Make sure they show up to vote. Make sure they know where to fucking vote. Okay? Do that. Do that. It's going to be a hot voter summer. Get people out here and double check with people about their voting and when last time they vote. Have conversations with people that are on the right side of history already. Stop trying to convert people. Like that's not, I mean, at this point, if people do what they do, they do what they do. It's about getting your team to show up. See, that's what I'll give Trump credit for. Trump is not trying to convert nobody. He's not. Trump knows who he is. He's focused on his base. He wants to try to get as many people as he can to show up for him. Democrats do that. All these thoughts of, oh, Biden might have lost people, whatever. I think the problem is that, yes, people are disappointed in Biden. Rightfully so. People are upset with how Biden has been doing a couple of things. Rightfully so. But if you really ask people the real question of how they're going to vote on November 5th, The same people that say they're disappointed in his performance are not necessarily the same people that's going to say, I'm going to turn around and vote for Trump. And I think that that's the issue with the data. Like, people are not asking the right questions. Because the polling I have seen, and I've been privy to seeing some polling, right, is that there's been these weird, the headlines are messy. Because they'll say, oh, Biden's approval rating is low. That could be true. That a lot of Americans are not in favor of certain Biden's work on certain policies, right? But then if you then look at other numbers, right, the real question, and this is the messiness and deceptiveness of certain people out here in media. I'm not calling them journalists because not all people in media are journalists. Because journalists are supposed to move a different type of way. And I will tell you, what I'm doing right now is called journalism because I'm explaining the full context of something, right? I'm not just telling half-assed truths. So, okay, one can say that Biden's approval rating is not high or not as high as people would like it to be. But what happens when you say that without context is that you can frame it like, oh, Biden's having low approval rating. What is this? This can mean that Trump might have an advantage. Hold on. Pause. Because if you actually look at the rest of the polls, and this was is getting buried in articles that no one's reading because everyone's reading the headlines, but they're not reading the rest of the story. You'll find that then there'll be a question of, okay, if the election is on November 5th, will you vote for Biden or Trump? And then the numbers are very different. The number of people who are saying they will vote for Biden and that question is much higher than how they feel about approving his role. So two things can be true at the same time, right? You could be like, let's say you dated somebody, you're in a relationship with somebody, and you did not like, you're upset with them and y'all not doing well. But if you did a poll and said, well, would you leave them and go back with your ex? Okay, I didn't say all that now. I'm mad at them, but I ain't gonna go back to my rusty ass ex. I feel like that's how American voters are in a larger scheme of things. They're like, yeah, I don't really like Biden right now. He pissing me off with his bullshit. Well, you gonna go back to your ex Trump? Oh, hell no, I'm not going back to Trump now. Now, I didn't say all that. Now, you crazy. That's what I think this is. That's what we're going to find out on November 5th when people get shocked that Biden won re-election, which they shouldn't be. Because the reality is that that's the situation, is that people are not happy with Biden's performance right now. But it's not so bad that they haven't forgotten how fucked up Trump is. Now, again, Biden campaign people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear these narratives. But I'm not here for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to validate or confirm anybody's shit. I'm not here to make anybody feel good. I'm here to tell people the truth, whether it's uncomfortable or not. But that's what I'm seeing in the data. That's what I, as a political journalist, is seeing in the data. And let me be very clear. The Biden campaign cannot rest its laurels on this truth. They have to continue to do what they're doing, which they're doing it. They're putting some money and they're doing the work. The ads are adding, they're doing their ads. I think having consistent ads dragging Trump, you got the money to do it, do the damn thing. But this grassroots effort, the engagement in the community, they're in West Philadelphia. They was at Jim's West for Juneteenth, bought a bunch of cheesesteaks for a couple of hours, was registering people to vote, giving people information to contact the campaign team. They're doing some work out there. I'm not going to say they're not. They definitely are meeting people where they are. They're getting creative. They're doing it. So I think if they do more of that, they're getting out here in these communities, they're meeting people where they are, they're spreading information. They continue to do this up until November in ways that Trump is not doing. Because Trump out here taking pictures with black people that's AI generated. It's not even actual black people. These are graphics that's being made. He's not even engaging with crowds of black people. I don't even think Trump can really get in a group photo with degular black people in a way that's not cheesy, corny, bought, or fake. It's manufactured. You got him out here doing sermons with a couple of black leaders, quote unquote, but it's a predominantly white audience seeing him talk to black leaders. Like, this man is not getting black votes. Like, bullshit. And now you're seeing people like Charlamagne the God begin to flip the switch, begin to shape up. And now he's starting to switch up his rhetoric now. He's starting to see the light because that one is just, is just crazy. It's just crazy. And I think that's what annoys me is that people are just missing, they're just falling for the okie doke and falling for the traps and falling for these narratives. It's just, it's a lot. And I just want people to calm down, stay woke, stay well read, read, comprehend, educate yourself, and do the right thing and get your people to vote. And stop with this doomsday speech. How y'all, all this loser rhetoric, all this doomsday, I'm just tired of doomsday rhetoric. I really am. I want us to be better. So be better, okay? That's all I got on Trump. Now, this debate is coming up this week with Biden and him. I'll be glued to the tube watching it. I ain't gonna miss it. I can't miss it. I'll be at home, CNN, Thursday, presidential debate. I'll give you my predictions before we will, I will tell you my predictions though. People say it could change everything. There's going to be no audience. There's going to be no pre-written notes, no interruptions, It's going to be raw. It's going to be raw. It's going to be 90 minutes long. It's going to be this Thursday at 9 p.m. It's going to be 90 minutes with only 2 commercial breaks. You can watch it on ABC, CNN, Fox News. There'll be full coverage, pre-post debate analysis, but it's going to be lit. Jake Taper and Dana Bash. They're going to co-host it. They're going to be the moderators. Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? It's going to be a show. So here's what I'm going to predict though. I'm going to predict that Trump is going to just show his ass. I think Trump is going to be more delusional than what we think he has been. I think American public at this debate, I feel like Trump is going to be super unhinged. And I don't think a lot of people have seen him or been reminded about unhinged he is. Because the media has actually, for better or for worse, has not been covering him a lot. And a lot of people have not been listening to his rallies. But the man has been off the rails. Everybody want to say age is language. They're saying Biden is, forgetting things and aging. People think Trump got dementia. It's all this crazy shit being said. I feel like it's all ages. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But what I will say is that I do think that Trump is losing his mind in a way that he has been talking about issues. And it's just not a good look. The guy is just all over the place. And we're not covering that because everybody wants to just obsess over Biden. I get it because he's the current president. He's making more press conferences, more visible. So more people are just paying attention to Biden more than Trump. But I think in this debate, you all are going to finally see Trump the way that I've been seeing him. Because I've been following his stuff. I've been covering it. I've been looking at it. You are going to see Trump and how Trump is off his radar, off his rockers. I think you're going to see that. I think that's a big deal. I think you're also going to see that Biden still got it. Like Biden I think people want to be impressed with how Biden's going to be able to really stand 10 toes down and be aggressive with Trump on issues. I think people just really think that Biden's just all off in Wonderland. That's not really the case. I think there's going to be some resetting of the room on certain expectations of what you think. In the end, I feel like people are going to support their sides either way. But I do think that Trump is going to unravel in a way that people are going to be like, yeah, man, I don't know. For those who are rocking with him, even Republicans, because it's not the Democrats, but Republicans who are like Nikki Haley, Republicans that might be warming up or thinking they have to, some of them might see that debate and go, and then we can't forget about the Robert F. Kennedy supporters, which is becoming more and more looking like folks that are leaving Trump to go to him. He might be the Ralph Nader to bite Trump in the ass. I don't see any Biden supporters leaving and going for RFK. I think that this is a situation where the Trump supporters are going to go for him. That's going to be their alternative because they're not going to vote for Biden because they hate Biden. but they're not going to go for Trump, so they're going to go to RFK. I feel like RFK is going to be their answer, and that's going to be a third-party candidate that's going to fuck it up. Because to be honest, on the Democrat-liberal side, child, ain't nobody voting for no Jill Green, or whatever her name is. Jill Stein from the Green Party, ain't nobody voting for her. And what's his name? He's frat, he's my fraternity brother, but I'm sorry, but Cornel West it's not happening. Cornel West is not happening. It's not happening for him either. So we just gotta, we just gotta stop pretending that's gonna happen. Dr. Cornel West is not a thing. That's not happening either. He needs to take care of his kids, pay his child support, do that stuff. Okay, but that's not happening. Don't see it happening for him. So now we move along. Supreme Court, this upcoming week is their final week before they make judgments and decisions. I'm hearing some thoughts. There was a big scandal not a big scandal, but the Supreme Court basically said that those who have a history of domestic violence cannot hold guns. That was a majority, 8-9 on the Supreme Court supported that. The only person who didn't was, of course, Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas believes that men who are violent or partners who are violent in domestic violence disputes should still have the right to bear arms. Yeah. Clarence is just off his rocker. Everybody else said no. And that went in the plan with the Second Amendment that, at the end of the day, the goal was never to arm dangerous people with guns. Anyway, the plan was never to do that. And so they just kept that in place. So it's not happening. But the big one right now, that has been the big womp, 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 which will drop potentially the day of the debate. We're hearing that the decision is going to, this big Supreme Court decision might land. I think the final day will be the day of the Wednesday, I believe, which will be the eve of the debate. Will the presidential immunity stand for Trump? Now, legally, everybody knows it's bullshit. Everybody knows that pretty much this Supreme Court, Trump is not protected as president from presidential immunity. There's no doctrine that allows the president to do whatever he wants and do whatever crime without, being put on trial. But Trump has had this crazy, wild, wackadoo argument that because he's the president of the United States, he can't be convicted or be put to anything because of the fact that he has presidential immunity, whatever the fuck that means. It's kind of like councilmanic prerogative, but I digress. So that's the argument that Trump has been, yielding. Supreme Court, it's now been taken to Supreme Court, and they have to make a ruling. And it might be, the ruling might come out this week, where we might find out whether or not this Supreme Court is pretty much going to let Trump do whatever the fuck he wants. Because if they say that the president of the United States can pretty much break the law and he's immune from doing that, it's going to be a very interesting fall. These lawsuits that Trump has pending, we're going to find out. Because if the Supreme Court does the right thing and says that Trump does not have presidential immunity, which he should not have, or don't have, or any president for that matter, then what will happen is that the lawsuits can go in motion. We're not going to reach a verdict before November 5th. Let's be clear about that. But they're buying Trump time, because if they do say he does have immunity, right, then what happens is there will be a lawsuit, right? There will be a trial. He will have his day in court. But what will happen is that Republicans will bank on hoping that if he becomes president, then he could beat all of that, wash that away, and wash it away. However, if Trump loses the re-election campaign, the trials will continue to go on. And this man, with no immunity on his side, will possibly find himself in jail. Not back in the White House, not Mar-a-Lago, but in jail, in prison, serving serious time. He's already a convicted felon already, but he will be doing time if he's found guilty for those cases. No doubt. That is some serious seditionist, treasonous shit. That's the feds. that man will be going to jail. He will be in prison if he's found guilty. So this is serious for him. This is serious for his race. It's serious for everybody involved. But this is nothing to sneeze at, to hiss at, or to laugh about. This is a serious election. So we're going to see how that's going to play out. But stay woke. Stay woke. So in Philadelphia politics, if you've been paying attention lately, George Norcross, who is this famous, Norcross he's a big businessman. It's been the talk of the town. He's a major businessman in Camden. A lot of people have different feelings about it. Some people are happy, some people are not. But basically, the headlines are saying that, he's indicted for Soprano-style economic development racket. He's a very powerful, rich businessman. He's been accused pretty much of a mafia-like behavior in order to enrich themselves and his associates. This is what he's been accused of. There was a press conference last week. New Jersey Attorney General Matt Plankton had announced a 13-count indictment. Okay, these are charges that include racketeering and extortion against 6 of those defendants. George Norcross III, which people have considered him as a Democratic kingmaker. He's widely regarded as New Jersey's most powerful unelected person. And he had influence in Philadelphia as well. But, he attended the press conference, okay, because that's what real bosses do, bold as hell, sat in the front row, and apparently even refused to switch seats when asked by people in office. They told him to switch seats. He didn't even want to refuse to switch seats. He sat in the front row like a gangster and heard this indictment, what was said about him. That's bold. Now, of course, he denies the claims. He'll see his day in court. But he was accused of, quote unquote, leading a criminal enterprise since 2012. Saying members would, quote, extort others through threats of economic and reputational harm in Camden, New Jersey. They said that in 2012-2013, George Norcross and other indicted co-conspirators, quote, used their political influence to tailor New Jersey economic development legislation to their preferences. The Economic Opportunity Act of 2013 had expanded the state's existing economic development grant programs, which allowed a developer to claim, quote unquote, a credit of up to 35% of its capital investment or up to 40% for a project located in a Garden State growth zone, defined as the 4 New Jersey cities with the lowest median family income, which include Camden, which is New Jersey's poorest city. That's why he's been putting a lot of development in Camden for the past decade. Now, the credits were intended to bring companies to the state to keep them from leaving, and many of them would claim the credits or sell them to other New Jersey taxpayers. Now, in 2019, the New York Times had found that before this law had passed, one attorney was allowed by lawmakers to edit drafts of the bill in ways that opened up sizable tax breaks to his firm's clients. Now, that attorney's firm was Parker McKay, and the CEO was George Norcross's brother, Philip Norcross, who was also indicted. So there's a lot going on. They said that once that law got passed, based on what the indictment said, that the defendants, which includes the Norcross brothers, extorted and coerced others, allegedly, in order to obtain their property along the Camden waterfront. Quote, then occupied the properties they obtained interest in and sold the tax credits they obtained for millions of dollars. It's a lot going on. One of the people also named in this was a member of the Camden City government, then Mayor Dana Reed, who was also indicted. Okay. They said that George Norcross leaned on this former mayor of Camden to pressure owners and developers to sell by denying necessary building permits and publicly disparaging them. One allegation they said was that George Norcross allegedly threatened a developer who refused to sell, saying that he will fuck you up like you've never been fucked up before. Quote, Mm. Listen, in the end, there was tax credits that eventually totaled in $240 million. And apparently he sold those tax credits allegedly for a fraction of that amount. One property he sold credits for was for 1.95 million. That would eventually total 18 million. It's given the Sopranos. Now he's denied these allegations. He's going to have his day in court, but it's looking very messy. It's looking very messy. And, I've known about George Norcross heavily because his daughter, Lexi Norcross, owns a publication in Philadelphia it's called Philly Voice. Have you ever heard of Philly Voice? Lexi Norcross, which is George Norcross's daughter, owns that publication. Many years ago, like 9 years ago, I was a contributor and a freelancer for them, and then eventually stopped writing for them, moved on, got other gigs and things. From what I hear, Lexi Norcross doesn't care much for me. At least that's what people have said publicly to me. It is what it is. I don't really know her that well. But remember her, early days of writing for her, that publication. It never really popped off in Philly. Philly Voice still exists, but it's just kind of just there, to be honest. It didn't really shake the table up in Philly that much. But I remember they did a lot of Camden coverage. Interesting enough. Lots of New Jersey, South Jersey coverage. Interesting. A good piece I remember was from this incredible journalist, Holly Otterbein, who used to be at Philadelphia Magazine. She's now Politico, but she was a really great political reporter. And I've kind of occupied the political space at Philly Mag now. I could do a lot of political coverage, as you all know, as political writer at large. But many, 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 many years ago, Holly Otterbein was a reporter for Philly Mag, a political reporter, and she does this incredible piece. And I encourage y'all to read it because it kind of gives you a sense of what happened here. But she kind of laid the groundwork of the concerns. And this piece was called Norcrossing the Delaware. And it was talking about George Norcross. And it was this iconic picture that was the famous iconic picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware. But it's him, is George Norcross crossing the Delaware into like what his relationship with Jim Kenney was, and was he planning to, cross his empire over into Philadelphia and take over Philly. He never really did, like in the way that people predicted he might because of whatever the politics were. But he definitely put a lot of his energy into Camden and never really took off in Philly and crossed over. But it was just talking about his growing power. And that man is very rich and very powerful. So it's a lot it's a lot there. Moving along into national politics. There is a big race that I'm keeping my eyes on this Tuesday. There's a big primary. Jamal Bowman is Democrat, progressive black Democrat. He's a part of the squad, but he's in a big, huge showdown of a primary for his congressional seat, and it's looking rough. He's going against a moderate Democrat that's getting a lot of money from AIPAC and a lot of pro-Israel groups. They're going after Jamal Bowman for this seat. He's a black congressman. He's in New York. The race is looking tight. We don't know if he's going to end up winning this midterm election. It's not midterm election, I'm sorry. This primary, because if he loses the primary, then, he's not going to, he's out. He's out on Tuesday. If he does not win his primary, he's out. But it looks like a lot of Democrats are trying to run against him and push the power that be. It's gonna be a race to watch. A nail biter. I don't know how to predict it. This could be it. There's been a lot of the progressives have had a very tough season. Just the wave did not catch on. I think there's been a lot of sentiment that progressives have been a lot of talk and no walk. His opponents accused him of being a sideshow, basically running off of antics and lots of stunts without doing anything substantive. It's been a lot of conversations. Progressives has not been doing too well in this era. And for various reasons. No shade. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. But it'll be sad if he loses his seat, to be honest, because it's been a lot of, I mean, he's accused a lot of people of being racist. There's been some, definitely, I feel like racist undertones and how people have come at him and things. And it's just, there's some problems there. There's some things being said. And I'm keeping my eye on that race. I hope he's okay. We'll see. But just keep your eye on that New York race with Jamal Bowman. So there's another few going on, and you all have been talking about it, been asking me questions. I've been, I let the chopper out this week regarding a certain governor and certain other governors, but I'm going to talk about both of them. So I wrote this piece for the Daily Beast that came out about Wes Moore, Governor Wes Moore of Maryland, who is an alpha, because alphas are just great. But he is one of the few black governors we've had in America. I mean, there's been Deval Patrick. There's been others, but they haven't been elected. He's like the second or third, black governor to ever be elected. He's a history maker. And of course, people have already made comparisons to him and Obama, which isn't the worst thing to be compared to. But it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to play out. But Wes Moore is I mean, he made some big history, this recent week. So before Juneteenth, he made an announcement last week where he pardoned more than 175,000 low-level convictions for marijuana, which he described as the most sweeping state-level pardon in any state in American history. You better talk your shit. It's a big damn deal because a lot of people have been talking about how to fix these laws, but he stepped up and he did it. It's admirable. It's incredible. I'm just fascinated with what he did. I mean, 175,000 low-level convictions. Like, a lot of people are going to be able to vote. A lot of people are going to be able to be engaged. He is doing the work. That's real restorative justice. Like, he's not just, but like the fact that our federal government has not done enough on that issue, but he's doing in his state. It's setting up a situation where somebody else could do that. You know what I'm saying? That now it's a trend. And now I'm expecting to see more people, more folks. But he's just fascinating. He's 45 years old. He's a Libra, like I am. His birthday is October 15th. Mine's October 12th. He, is a Rhodes Scholar. He writes a book. He's an author. He's good friends with Oprah. He's just dope. He's just super dope. I just find him to be full of life. He's married to a very successful woman. Yes, she's a black woman. We love to see it. And he's just doing his thing. Like, he's really out here. He's done a lot of great work. He, is the third black person to ever be elected governor of any U.S. state. The third to do that. He's a loving father of 2 children. He's a military man. He served in the army. Just great. He went to Johns Hopkins, got a master's degree from Oxford. He's a Rhodes Scholar. He served in the U.S. Army and the Army Reserve. He was an investment banker in New York. Just hot. I'm just like, this is presidential. So I wrote this really great piece about, just think this guy, we should look at him. I feel like in 2028, he'll still be young. He'll be, he'll be like 46. He'll be about 49. He won't even be 50 yet by the time that he's there. He's already bald, but like a nice, shiny, healthy bald. So it won't be like we'll see any gray hairs. And I just feel like, we'll be ready for something fresh and new at that point. And so, Biden will be done, but we'll be looking at the future of the Democratic Party. And I feel like he has the energy that he could be America's future president. I think it could happen. I think that there is some opportunity there because we need somebody with some hope. We need somebody with some enthusiasm, some flair. And I can see that for him. I can see that for him. He's just doing a lot of cool stuff. I mean, he's just popping up everywhere. You know, people are seeing it. Clemency's concerts, Oprah's cash. People are saying this Westmore the next Obama. He was at Maggie Rogers' sold out show, and he was a special guest. Came out, you know, Maryland Tough, Baltimore Strong shirts, and made Maggie Rogers Day. Like, he's just showing up a lot. So I don't know. I think, you know, I don't know. I'm really feeling him. I think there's something there. And I don't get that excited about elected officials often, as you all know, because they just suck across the board, a lot of them. But there's a couple of good ones that just be like, I like him. So I like him. And when I shared the article, there was a lot of people in my DMs, because you know how y'all do, like, well, you know Shapiro running. And I said, who? Shapiro who? Josh who? Like, what? Listen, yes, I mean, you all listen to this show. Y'all know. Yes, I'm aware that Governor Josh Shapiro has ambitions to be president. I mean, even Ray Charles can see that. Everybody knows that he is going to try to have a moment or whatever. I'm just not a fan of him right now. I'm not going to hold you. I'm not. I'm going to vote for him if he runs for re-election because I'm not voting for a Republican. But I'm just not really feeling him. I feel like it's just something about Josh Shapiro that just right now, I don't know. This year has been a very telling year. He's just been moving in ways I just feel like it's just so disingenuous, so pandering, so uber ambitious to the point where it just feels like you want it so bad that no one wants it for you. You know, we see this in Hollywood when there's like an actor that campaigns for an Oscar and they just do way too much and you just get so over them. It kind of reminds me of Bradley Cooper when Bradley Cooper was trying to get an Oscar for Maestro. And like, you know, granted, Bradley Cooper's been nominated so many times and has not gotten it. We get it. I've been there. We all been there. But my goodness, it was just so corny. It was just like, dude. And I think it was to the point where people just didn't want to nominate him at all. He got nominated, but no one wanted him to vote for him because initially I thought he was the front runner. And I think if y'all remember, I kept telling you, I feel like, you know, it looks like he might be that dude to get it finally. And then the movie came out and it was kind of flat. And there was just new hype around other talent, other actors. And, you know, he lost the narrative. He just lost the narrative, I think. And I think that's what happened. I think people just kind of was like, you know, Cillian Murphy and Oppenheimer just was unbeatable, clearly. And I think he just lost Bradley Cooper lost the momentum, the momentum. But I think that's the same thing with Josh Shapiro. I think he's coming out too early. And I guess one people argue that Wes is too, but it's just something about Wes that feels more authentic. Okay, Shapiro, you're showing up to stuff. Like the Breakfast Club interview he did 2-3 weeks ago. Y'all already know how I feel about the Breakfast Club, so I felt like that was just corny. I thought that was corny. I was like, ugh, that's corny. I remember people talking about, the way that Josh Shapiro talks, he got a Obama type of, Don't do that. Don't do that. We're not going to do that. Don't do that. Just don't. I'm not going to speak more on that, but just, I don't know, that little gif of Jonah Hill doing a little cut it out, knock it off. Nah, don't do that. Just where's the comparison? Where's the comparison? Don't. The jokes write themselves. Don't do that. Don't do that. But that doesn't mean he's not inspired. I think there is times where I hear Josh Shapiro speaking, I'm just like, oh, you're trying, but I definitely see Wes Moore and Obama having a lot in common. Not just racially, but just the way in which they talk about their experiences, their journeys, the adversity they faced. But I feel like Wes just might be a little bit more, I don't know. I'm just excited about what he brings to the table. Josh, I just feel like the problem with Josh is that Josh has not done enough, I feel like. He's taking positions, but where's the fucking policy? Wes Moore's on that ass, okay? He is doing policy that's like shaking tables, doing big shit. Where's your move? What you gonna do? Legalize cannabis in Pennsylvania. And then maybe I will look at you and say, okay, legalize it. and reverse and do some clemencies. Like reverse some of these brothers. Not the whole federal level. Nah, take like I want to see you get that number high and do some real work. Pull it west more, and then get cannabis legal in Pennsylvania because it's already legal in Maryland. He didn't already did that. It's already legal in Maryland already. People can do it in Baltimore. It's legal in Baltimore. I mean, it recreational use. What we doing in PA? Jersey didn't got it. What we doing in PA? Do that, governor. And then maybe, I could entertain the nonsense of it all. But I just feel like it's just not happening for him. If anything, I could see a VP potential. He could be someone's VP. I don't see president. I see VP. Maybe on the short list is a VP. But I don't see president from him. I don't see president. I feel like we are just we're just, after Biden, I think there's going to be a moment where we're just not going to want to go back to just dry white men. Just dry, moderate, flat. I mean, the country is more moderate than ever, one can argue, but you just gotta have a little bit more pizzazz. And I just don't see the swag. I just don't see it. I don't. And when I'm about swag, I'm not talking about like personality. I mean, personality needs some work too, but I just feel like there is a roboticness to him that, this is bad. I don't want to do this, but there's a slight Ron DeSantis roboticness to him that just has me kind of like, I don't know. I'm just not crazy about him. I could be wrong, but I don't know. And also, I guess I could get a little petty. I don't know his team, but I got invited to the White House this upcoming Wednesday to go to the Pride celebration. I'm not going to attend because, as you all remember, Sarah McLachlan is coming to the Man this Wednesday. And hella haywater, I'm going to go see my good girl, Sarah McLachlan, at the Man. VIP, baby. I'm going with my good girl, Kelly, and we're going to have a good old time. I'm not missing Sarah McLachlan. I've waited till December, so I had to decline the White House invitation. Who have I become? I could just decline the White House invitation. But seriously, I'm not going to miss Sarah McLachlan because I don't know next time she'll come to North America or yet come to Philadelphia. And so I'm not missing this for the world. I love her so much and I cannot wait to listen to her. So yeah, there's Sarah McLachlan. She's coming to the Man. Can't wait to see her. I'm going to get my life. It's going to be a great time. Yeah. What else? There's a Pride event happening at the White House, at the governor's mansion this Wednesday. I didn't get an invitation. A couple of Black queer elected officials that I know, some that won primaries and whatnot, they didn't get invited. We're just sitting here looking like, so none of us got invited? Like, nobody got invited? What? Weird. I don't know if it was a slight. I don't know if he's being shady. I don't know what it's giving. But I'm just like, whoever is on your team, you need to listen, I've gotten used to governor mansions not inviting me to anything Black. Now, the good old days of Governor Tom Wolf, who I actually like Governor Wolf. I think Wolf does not get enough praise. But Wolf was a good governor. He was a good governor. And all I got to say is that when I was invited to African-American, because he's always used the word African-American events and also LGBTQ events, baby, because I check off both boxes. I'm respected in the queer community and respected as a Black leader in general. I never had problems getting invited. This governor, oh no, unless you got something transactional for him, you ain't getting no invitation because this man is very transactional, it appears. He unless you it's given, I'm not gonna say it's given pay to play, but it's definitely feels that way. You ain't getting no access. You're not getting anything. And I'm not gonna start this pot, but I've been talking to LGBTQ leaders across the Commonwealth, and there's been no movement on LGBTQ policies. Like, okay, you wear a rainbow shirt and you say love is love, baby. We past marriage. What about these equal rights, like non-discrimination bills? What about, the Fairness Act or whatever y'all want to call it today? What about that legislation moving? Because all this pomp and circumstance and all this I'm with you shit. I mean, you in your term now. You halfway in this term, okay? Last year I was there. as a +1, let me be clear. I wasn't invited even last year. Okay? Because I ain't trying to start a pot. But it's a lot of fuckery going on at Governor's Mansion. And I just feel like, he's going to fall into a really sticky situation because he's smelling himself. Yes, I-95 was cool, but what have you done for us lately? You can't keep resting on that because guess what? Westmore, there was a Baltimore bridge collapse and Westmore's people got out there, the governor showed strength and worked and got out there and responded to that crisis. So now what? Highways collapsing, bridges collapsing, both mayors show up. Now what? I just feel like it's a lot of showmanship right now. Westmore's out here doing his thing, but he's also creating policies that's impacting people. What are you doing? What are you doing, Shapiro? Because all these little appearances and these little videos and these little TikToks and having these whack ass influencers coming to events, that shit is cute, but that ain't moving the needle. I think we're getting tired of the performativeness. It's 2024. I'm not biting my tongue about any of these people. Period. Moving along. I don't know if you all heard the news, but State Representative Donna Bullock is leaving. She's leaving Harrisburg. She's going to become the new executive director of Project Home. There's no time yet on when she's going to leave. If I was a betting man, it's probably going to be at the beginning of next year because she's going to want to keep the party, hopefully maintain the Democratic Party's majority of the House in Harrisburg. So to switch up with a special election might be a little too late. I don't know. But apparently her chief of staff is going to be the one that she's going to, push for the position. We'll see how it plays out in a special election, but most likely that's how it's going to play out. But it's like, wow, I've known Donna for a while. Like in 2013, she was actually my supervisor when I was a communications fellow at City Council. She was a special assistant to Council President Darrell Clark, the last great council president we've had. Anyway, she was a special assistant, and part of her role, she was basically the supervisor over my fellowship program. So I reported to her in addition to Jane Rowe, who was the city council spokesperson. So it's interesting to see her. I remember when she left that role to run for office, she always knowing Donna, I always knew that she never planned to be a career politician. Like she never planned to be in office for 5,000 years. I mean, she must really want to take this position because my mindset was like, girl, stay for like 12 or whatever, get your pension and then bounce. But I think she's a mother of two, incredible sons. They're two incredible young men. She has an incredible husband. Her husband is Otis Bullock, who's made a name for himself in his own right. But I think, they're ready to, influence politics in a different way. And in this Project Home role, I mean, it's pretty dope. The money must be money because state reps, they get okay pay. Their pay is not bad, but they get so many great benefits. But I imagine that she about to get banked. She about to get a nice little bank. That must be a crazy 6-figure position. I ain't mad at her. Go to the money, honey. Get the money. Get out of politics. But the sad part is she was really a good state rep. She's a really good state rep. She was one of those that actually did work. She really was out here doing policy and stuff, unlike certain folks that's in North Philly that's trying to run for out of the general seats, and you're trying to figure out, well, what have you done with the current seat you have? But anywho, I digress. It's sad to see her go, but I appreciate somebody do a couple years in office and then go off and keep living and not, she's in her early 40s. She's not waiting to age out of a role or get pushed out or get unseated. She came in good. She's leaving with a bang. She's leaving on her own terms. We love to see it. I'd rather see a state rep leave and become a CEO than leave and disappear or leave in handcuffs. How about that? So shout out to Donna for that. Updates, because I did tell y'all, I'll give y'all updates on this man, Justin Timberlake, child. The guy gave a speech. It's a mess. He there's a lot of tea coming out about his situation. Apparently, he was given a warning before his arrest, and he still decided to go through on it, which was very telling. He went to his tour. He performed on Saturday at his tour. Gave a little speech about his situation, about his wild week. It's been a lot going on. I've heard some interesting rumors, though. Not that rumors, we should entertain rumors. You know, I don't want to be petty, but I am going to share this little tidbit though, because I do think this is something interesting. So the conspiracy theory is that, this week, Travis Scott also got arrested for trespassing and disorderly conduct in Miami. There was a theory, and I'm going to entertain the theory. They said that they just believe, and they this is what they're saying, is that artists are getting canceled, are getting arrested on purpose so they can cancel their lackluster world tours without their insurance premiums going up, potentially even being reimbursed for some expenses. And so some people are thinking about this, saying that, Justin Timberlake has had some pretty lackluster ticket sales, and people are wondering, people are saying, would one would say that the tour being your number one concern after being arrested for DUI is kind of crazy. Because it is weird, right? Like, he says while he's arrested that this could ruin the tour. And the officer, the young officer, didn't even know who the fuck he was like, what tour? He said the world tour. And motherfucker's like, the world tour? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, the guy didn't even recognize him. I mean, he's such a washed up dude. I guess this officer was too young or whatever, that was at Sag Harbor, didn't even recognize him enough to even know what the fuck he was talking about. But it's like, why would you even reference the tour and you're getting arrested? Why are you not thinking about your kids? You're a father of 2 young children. You're a husband. Why are you thinking about the fucking tour when you're getting arrested? And why are you saying this in this way? It just seems very weird. And people are just saying they wonder if it's allegedly his PR is putting up to him, because they're just saying, one would say that the tour being your number one concern after being arrested for DUI is kind of crazy. People just think it just seems very weird. Why would you say this is going to ruin the tour? Like, that's a weird thing to say, especially if the tour doesn't get ruined. I mean, it's crazy. He has a concert, right? For his July concert. The tickets are on sale for $12. Okay? Tickets are on sale for $12. And so, if he goes to rehab, he could get the insurance money on the tour. He should go get rehab anyway. But it just seems like there's a lot of scenarios in which, something's going on. No one told J-Lo this could be a potential option. Who knows? Maybe J-Lo don't know. Travis Scott, who knows? Because Travis Scott's tour, I don't know how the sales are going with that, but it's just like, is that the new thing now? I don't know. But he showed up to his tour in Chicago. He showed up to his show in Chicago. These tickets are selling out or not. I don't know. But when you're selling tickets as low as $12, child, it could be the cutest sweet day ever for somebody who just want to get out the house. I mean, the fact that your tickets are cheaper than an Uber ride to get to the arena is speaking volumes. He might as well have them Johns for free. I mean, he might as well do Alicia Keys. Ooh, did I say that? Okay, I'll tell you something I heard. What I heard, okay? What I had heard. Now, when Alicia Keys came here with her arena concert last year, the Alicia tour, whatever, child, they was getting out them tickets like free condoms back in the day during another administration. They had tons of tickets out. They were giving out to nonprofits. They were giving out to all these people that helped fill that arena at the last minute, child. Even they were out offering me tickets. They was like, yo, the Lit Brothers, y'all want to come? We got these tickets. I was like, child, we don't know Alicia Keys like that. There was another concert. I think Erykah Badu had a show the same day. It was crazy. Poor, because Erykah Badu had a show. I didn't go to that show, but she had a show at the Man. What ended up happening is that when the show got rescheduled because of the weather or something, it landed on the same day as Alicia Keys. So I think there were fans who had, maybe some fans, I don't see that much overlap, but maybe a couple of fans who got tickets for that show and then the other show, and then probably decided on Erykah more than Alicia. And so it was weird. But I don't know how that played out. But I just remember they were throwing out them tickets like crazy. But with this Justin Timberlake tour, I mean, I don't know how long this is going to last, y'all. Like, I don't know how long he's going to keep this momentum going. It's just looking a mess out there. And what's even more weird is that apparently reports are saying that Justin was given a warning before he decided to do the DUI. And then he decided to still pursue the ride afterwards and then was stopped again. So it's like, wait, so they already had told you to stop and you still kept going? Like, what kind of self-sabotaging nonsense is this? Something's going on over there in JT world, and it just gets worse by the day. But you know, it is what it is. Y'all heard the bonus episode already. Thanks for listening. Honestly, I want to move on. Don't send me no more gifts. I don't want to see no more memes. I've seen everything. I'm over it. I really am. Seriously, like, this week has been exhausting with all of that. There was a lot going on this week in general, which we're going to get into Ask Ernest, but a lot. So, yes. So, moving along. So Ask Ernest this week was just, a lot of you all asked the question in some type of variation, and I'm happy that you did, because I was going to talk about it anyway. What did I think about Kendrick Lamar's pop-up? I've just seemed not to be, somebody said this, and it was kind of, I didn't like the way they worded it, but I do appreciate them, being frank. They just said, it seems like you're a Debbie Downer on Kendrick. This is like a big moment in hip hop, a cultural moment. And yeah, he brought Dr. Dre, but like, what's, this seems like it'd be a critical moment, and just seemed like you're missing the moment of what is how big this is for hip hop. Okay, let me just say this. I think my good friend Joe just said it best. You go, Joe. Joe said it best. Joe said that, I mean, I have a different take, but he said that he's not over Kendrick just doing his thing, but he's just so over everybody talking about it. And I said, that's a really good point. I think this reminds me of fans, of like, how you could like somebody, but you can't stand their fans? I think that's how I feel. I think that's what people say about Lil Wayne. Like, well, Lil Wayne's a problem on so many levels, but many, many years ago when Lil Wayne was, doing good, I think there was a level where people liked Lil Wayne, but there was a lot of his delusional fans that swore like everything he said was biblical and like the Bible. And I was just like, oh my God, relax. He's okay. He's not all that. Sit down. I mean, he was good, very talented at his prime. I mean, like, Lil Wayne had a moment. I'm not taking that away from Wayne. I grew up in that era with Lil Wayne, the Carter 3. Okay, that was my high school years. I remember when Lil Wayne was on top of the world. Lord, he has fallen, hasn't he? But every rapper eventually do, right? But I just remember, like, there were just these obsessive fans. I was like, greatest rapper alive. I was like, okay, all right. All right. Every little verse he said, they act like he was saying something so profound. I'm like, these are just really cool metaphors and punchlines, but Wayne ain't saying nothing too poetically deep, in my opinion. But he's a good rapper, I guess. But people just, I don't know. It's just weird. I just feel like it was like the suburban blacks. Oops, I said it. Suburban blacks who just cling on to major mass pop culture and like obsessively fan over like mainstream commercial rappers as if that's going to give them some cool blackness points when they're already black and they don't need to do that to perform blackness. But whatever. Moving along to my larger point. but seriously, that shit annoys me. Kendrick's become that person where I just feel like anything he do, everybody just over obsesses over it. He's very talented. I will never take that away from him. I enjoy some of his music. I have. But there is this level of like worshipiness that happens with him where there's this mindset that, there's a sermon he's gonna preach, and it's just like, I hate that when they do that with rappers like that. They did it with J. Cole at a period of time. It's like, these guys are just hoteps. And I will say it, like, Kendrick he's had some great songs and he has some good art albums, right? But there is a lot of these guys where they're not really saying anything profound. It's just that you motherfuckers didn't read bell hooks. You people didn't read Pedagogy to Oppress. You just didn't read books. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe the snob in me is going to come out. But like, I'm sorry. But like, a lot of the stuff that he talks about, honestly, it's been written about and it's been said about and it's been spoken about. And there's a lot of the stuff he says is very flat and very contradictory to how he lives his life. And so some of it's kind of like performative as fuck. But a lot of people be thinking that some of the ideas and things he talks about has not been already talked about and written and talked about in books, or already been philosophized and brought up elsewhere. Okay. All right. Mm. I'm just saying that it's I think that's the thing that annoys about pop culture a little bit is that as somebody who does read, consume, expose myself to various cultures, um, educate myself, a lot of the stuff that people will raise their nose at or say, "Oh, that's too highbrow," or "That's too this," or "That's too that," will then turn around and their favorite rapper do it and then be like, "Oh, this is so deep." Like Basquiat's hairstyle and art, which is just another conversation. But like Jay-Z's doing this look, oh, Jay-Z's hairstyle, I want that. It's Basquiat. You know who he is? He's a great artist. And he did some great work. And if you actually went to a museum and checked out his shit, you will find that he had a whole philosophy about the world and about capitalism, about all these issues that fucking Jay-Z is a hypocrite about. You could actually learn about who he is. He's accessible. You could read about him and his life. He's passed away many, many years ago, but that man is somebody. And a lot of the stuff he spoke about was very deep and very much real. And your rapper that's cosplaying as him is not even on the level to what that man represented in the art world and what he did as a creator. But because some folks, right, in hip hop culture shy away from various levels of art and consumption, they think it's white or too proper to this. But funny thing is, your favorite rappers are adapting culture from these types of philosophers and these writers and these people. And so it's like, actually, it's all of this culture is all repurposed and you're actually hearing this from a different way. It's so funny. Like they'll be like, oh, Beyonce and this, that, and third. But I'll tell them, do y'all know who Julie Dash is? Do you know what Daughters of the Dust is? Have you seen that independent film? Oh, I don't really watch movies like that. Well, you know that Lemonade was pretty much inspired. There's visuals were inspired by Daughters of the Dust, an iconic film. But, because people just think that there is some separation between highbrow and lowbrow art and not appreciating the creativity of that, then that's how you get people that don't appreciate it. Daughters of the Dust came out in 1991. It's an incredible film. It's about the Gullah women of the Peasant family. It's cultural. It's artistic. Julie Dash is one of the best films ever made, but people just don't know about it or don't talk about it enough, and it's sad because it's iconic. And when you look at the video, the whole Lemonade film, there is imagery from Daughters of the Dust, but people would look at that film and say that's some weird ass movie and don't even pay attention, but don't realize that your favorite artist is appropriating these trends. And there's nothing wrong with the artist doing that, but I just feel like fans and consumers who don't know culture or just sneer at levels of it will give way too much credit to other artists for it. And I feel like that's Kendrick. Like Kendrick, a lot of shit that Kendrick is saying has already been said. A lot of these ideas and concepts and discussions, there's tons of great books, tons of great art that is already inspired by that work. And you can do whole anthologies. There's been professors who've done huge, studies about the linkage. And his work is heavily inspired, which is good, But I say all to say that I do think there are times where he can be a little overrated when it comes to some of the depth and intellectual depth of what he's talking about. Just keeping it 100. That being said, I'm very much aware of the cultural impact of They're Not Like Us. I get it, okay? He took on the biggest rapper of our current era, regardless of talent or not, right? Drake. And he, basically won this beef. But the issue is that in this pursuit to win this beef, he's perpetuated some of the same the forms of misogyny. I did not watch the Pop Out. I saw clips of it. I knew people that were there on the ground and saw the concert live. When I saw the clip of him bringing Dr. Dre up on that stage, I just kind of was like, yeah, I'm good. Oh, well, there you have it. It's just the same. It's the same. And people out here don't know nothing about what happened. People still act like they don't know what happened between, Dr. Dre. If you don't know, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole, but I kind of do because I do want people to actually know some history, right? Because I got, Gen Zer fans. So I'm going to read this. This is from the Darkest Hue, at darkest.hue. She is an incredible Black womanist, feminist voice on social media, Instagram. I love the way she talks about issues. And I've been talking about this a lot on my own social media, but I want to break down how she explains this. And you should follow her page. So Kendrick Lamar's concert, The Pop Out, Ken and Friends, is being praised as a Juneteenth celebration of West Coast artistry and hip-hop culture. And a now viral moment, hip-hop legend and fellow Compton native Dr. Dre introduced Kendrick's performance of Not Like Us. In the diss track, Kendrick accuses Drake and his inner circle of pedophilia, questioning his former bodyguard's Baca's, quote, weird case involving his assault of a young woman. Dr. Dre has quite a few, quote unquote, weird cases under his own belt. On January 27th, 1991, this is before I was even born, Dr. Dre, who was 26 years old, brutally attacked music journalist and MC D. Barnes at a Def Jam party at a Los Angeles nightclub. At the time, Barnes was a 23-year-old host of Pump It Up, an iconic rap show on Fox Network. Dr. Dre's assault was in retaliation to a segment that aired on the show featuring his then nemesis Ice Cube. Later that year, Barnes filed a $22 million lawsuit against NAACP, which stands for With Attitude, then word, accusing Dr. Dre's group mates of libel, slander, and emotional distress. Dre was ordered to complete 240 hours community service and pay just over $2,500 in fines. A civil suit was settled outside of court. Barnes was denied a restraining order. D. Barnes told the Los Angeles Times back in 1991, quote, Dr. Dre picked me up by my hair and my ear and smashed my face and body into the wall. Next thing I know, I'm down on the ground and he's kicking me in the ribs and stomping on my fingers. I ran into the woman's bathroom to hide, and he burst through the door and started bashing me in the back of the head. Dr. Dre's violence, unfortunately, would not stop at D. Barnes. Singer Michelle, who he dated from 1987 to 1996, told Elle magazine in 2016, the beatings were so normal to me. The abuse was just routine. I didn't wake up the next day and say, Dre, why did you hit me? We never talked about the next day. Never. According to Michelle, Dre's abuse continued while she was pregnant. She also maintained that he shot a gun at her and broke her nose and ribs. In 2015, Michelle spoke about being excluded from the popular, quote, Straight Outta Compton, the NAA biopic, which was co-produced by Dr. Dre himself. Why would Dre put me in it? I was just a quiet girlfriend who got beat on and told to sit down and shut up. That same year, Dr. Dre released a statement in the New York Times apologizing to the, quote, women I've hurt. Quote, I've been married for 19 years and every day I'm working to be a better man for my family, seeking guidance along the way. I'm doing everything I can so I never resemble that man again. The success of the 2016 biopic Surviving Compton, Dre, Suge, and Michelle also brought awareness to other women who have accused Dr. Dre of abuse. Whew. These women include Lisa Johnson, the mother of 3 of Dr. Dre's children, and rapper Tyree B., the label mate that he allegedly punched at a Grammys after party in front of several A-listers in the 90s. In 2021, Nicole Young, his now ex-wife, accused the mogul of abusing her during their 24-year marriage, which he vehemently denied. Despite Dr. Dre's well-documented history of abuse, his victims are the ones who have been effectively outcasted to preserve his legacy. In a 2015 essay for Gawker, D. Barnes spoke extensively about an organized industry effort to salvage Dr. Dre's reputation by blacklisting her, thereby removing a blemish from his legacy. In 2019, the pioneering music reporter announced that she was homeless. In contrast, Dr. Dre has gone on to become a very lucrative career, becoming a billionaire businessman and being honored just last year with the Grammy's inaugural Dr. Dre Global Impact Award. His pop out with Kendrick was yet another painful reminder that the hip hop industry is more forgiving of abusers than their victims. So I just, with all that history, with all that knowledge, the fact that Kendrick decided to make that move tells me everything I need to know about complicity. It was so disappointing because I saw so many people on social media that I admired on Twitter that were the same people that was talking about R. Kelly and having complaints about R. Kelly and all this about, we was live tweeting about Diddy just last month, and everybody was just talking about abusers and things. And then Dr. Dre comes out, and I see people going hysterical about Dr. Dre. Ooh, Dr. Dre, he robbed Dr. Dre. This is epic. And I'm just like, y'all go act like we just so caught up in this moment with Kendrick that we don't want to take a moment to say, pause, why the fuck is Dr. Dre on this stage? Because I say that, then I'm the Debbie Downer. No, Kendrick's the Debbie Downer. Because Kendrick did not have to bring out Dr. Dre. He didn't bring out The Game, which has his own problems, clearly. But you didn't bring out everybody. Like, you didn't have to bring out Dr. Dre. You didn't. You could have had that moment. And so to me, that just undercuts everything. I'm sick of this fucking song because the whole premise of the song was you're calling Drake a freaky ass, a 6'9" guy. You call him a creep. You're using the term A minor, referencing all of that. You got all these things trying to accuse this man of being a predator, but you bring out this violent motherfucker and I'm confused. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show people what? Abusers? That's what you gotta do. You gotta pop out and show abusers. It's just such a fucking disappointment across the board. Like, how many times are women gonna be thrown under the bus in these fucking beefs? Like, you did that, and initially I'm thinking, okay, he's calling something to the carpet, but I should have fucking known better. Because you're the same motherfucker that brought out Kodak Black, who's abused and assaulted women, right? Criminally, charged and everything. You brought out Kodak Black and put him on multiple songs. That was a fucking choice. And now here your ass at again doing it. So it's like, what are you talking about? And then the crazy part about that song is, I don't know if you listen to one of his diss tracks, but Michelle is actually the vocals in the background, singing the vocals in that background. And Dr. Dre comes out. What? Like, the audacity. And yet I saw all these quote unquote feminists and people, ooh, so hype about Kendrick, ooh, so hype about this. I'm like, but we're not going to take a moment to be like, yo, what's going on here? It just seems to be a pattern, right? This consistent pattern of double standards, this consistent pattern of people cherry picking what's important to them, what's not important. I'm just at a point where I'm like, fuck y'all. And I'm not going to be silent about it. I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm not going to. I don't need the popularity points. I don't need to be everybody's favorite person. That's not why people listen to Ernestly Speaking. People listen to Ernestly Speaking because they want to go somewhere where they can hear somebody say something that's not bought or compromised. But I just need more people to be the same way, especially in the culture. Because all this half-ass shit, this stepping in the water, tiptoeing around it, like, it's 2020, it's 2024. We can't not, we can't. Jonathan Majors, okay, this little comeback shit he trying to do. Fucking Jason Lee, a blogger, a messy ass blogger, not a hot ass gossipy blogger like the way Jamarcus and I like to use that term. No, this is a messy ass blogger that's trash. Not hot at all. He has this damn awards that I guess Hollywood Unlocked awards that he's been doing. And he decides to give Jonathan Majors the Perseverance Award. And I'm just like, what is he persevering from? Beating women? Like, I don't understand. Like, what's the perseverance from? The fact that he he laid his bed and made it, and we're supposed to honor him. How fucking disrespectful. There's so many people that deserve a Perseverance Award. How about Celine Dion? Talk about perseverance. Okay, Celine Dion is perseverance. Okay, if we want to talk about perseverance. But we're already talking about Jonathan Major, who threw his own career in the fucking trash because he's a fucking sociopath. This man gets a black woman, gets Megan Good, who's influenced her fucking career. And now he's getting an award by Jason Lee. Really? The trash is spaghetti for trash. And the person who presents the award is Ilyana Van Sant, who you all know, Ilyana Fix My Life, who is a survivor of domestic abuse herself, that wants to give this man this award. How much did she get paid to be complicit? And they're having this little dramatic scene where he goes up and he's crying on her, and she's, what are we doing here? And I'm going to keep it 100. What's so fucked up is that because it was a white woman, that's why they didn't care. That people just don't care. There is people that don't care because it's a white woman. Okay? That's why. But here's the problem. You think that a black man hitting and beating a white woman will not turn around and beat a black woman? You really think that violent, misogynistic pigs and violent men are going to be, okay, I'm going to hit this one, but not this one? Please. An abuser is an abuser, okay? There's no special, rose-colored gloves. Please, fuck out of here. But there are so many people that are just so thirsty for relevance, so thirsty to redeem people. And you got to wonder, what do they got going on that they're so pressed to give people these quote-unquote second chances when there's been no true accountability? There's no accountability. Fuck him. But again, people show up to the party. People stand up and clap. And these are the same people that every time we watch these documentaries like Surviving R. Kelly will say, well, how did that happen? And how did that person get away with it for so long? Because of this shit. Because of shit like this. Because of stuff like this. Because we see this stuff and we say nothing, or we just let it slide. We don't stop our faves or people we like to say, no, don't do that. Kendrick's apparently making a video they're not like us. Apparently he's all over Compton making this video. If anything, hopefully Dr. Dre's not in the video. I'm over it. I'm over the video. I'm over this fucking song. It might win a Grammy. It might not. It's definitely gonna get nominated. He's gonna have his little moment. But like at this point, it's like, I see Kendrick for what he is. It's disappointing. And the fact that he gets to skate on by and not really address that is also very telling. So, yeah. It's a no for me, dog. It's a chop for me. It's a chop for me. So in other things, movies, it looks like Inside Out is on a box office crusade. Pixar is resurging, which I'm happy about. I already told you Inside Out is a great film. It received $100 million in the second week of its box office. So last weekend it was over $150 something million. This weekend is over $100 million. I mean, it's just killing it. It's going to get $1 billion when it's all said and done. Over $750 million worldwide. Bad Boys 2, still number 2 at the box office, doing its thing. I mean, listen, look like summer box office is making a comeback. I'm here for it. But yeah, music has been complicated. Music has been really complicated this season. So Normani's album, is just not doing what people thought it was going to do. I don't know. Expectations were high. It's not going to come in high on the charts. People are biting their nails to see if Taylor Swift's going to come in at number 9. 9th week at number 1, to be clear. It's just been an interesting week for music. But I must say that the one person I want to talk about is, I just really want to talk about Sabrina Carpenter. Like, Sabrina Carpenter is out here doing her thing. Sabrina Carpenter, I mean, part of me thinks she's an industry plant. I'm not going to hold you. She was a Disney Channel girl, but like, I hear stories about people that have been saying that, how do I put this? Um, I'll say this. She has this, every time you go on playlists, right? Even if you don't even request her music is consistently showing up in all these playlists. And her recent single, Please, 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 which I kind of like, it's a little beggy song. I like a little beggy song, is debuted at number 2 on the charts. Espresso, which has been on the charts for several weeks, ranked at its highest ever at number 3. She's got the top 3 songs on the Billboard Hot 100. The number 2 and number 3 songs are currently occupied by her, and she hasn't even dropped an album yet. So when this album drops in August, it's about to be killer. But I say all this to say that I can't put my finger on the Sabrina Carpenter girl. I'm just learning her. It's giving industry plant. And I don't mean that like industry plant in the sense that you feel like the industry or the powers that be with the money and resources are trying to push someone out or replace a new artist or a new girl on the charts. And I feel like when I look at her, it's giving Taylor Swift. It's giving all types of mixes of various pop girls, but it's giving a lot of Taylor Swift. There's a little bit of Olivia Rodrigo mixed in there a little bit, but it's like a little bit of Katy Perry. I see some Katy Perry in there for sure. And Katy Perry's trying to make a comeback, which I don't know why, girl. Just retire. But like, I'm seeing that with her. I like her songs, but they're just so formulaic in a way where I'm just like, she's definitely playing up a certain type of appeal. It's very commercial. It's very poppy, but the songs are catchy and good and fun. But I'm just kind of like, You know, one thing I'll give Taylor Swift, even though she's become very commercial and she's been that way for a minute, but there's always been an element of her that felt like, okay, she does write her songs, she does play her instrument, so you really can't dismiss the level artistic artistry in her work. But this situation with old girl, I don't know. We're gonna see. It's only a matter of time before we see what's going on. Because yeah, it's only a matter of time, for sure. But please, please, please got a lot going on. It's a cute song. It's a little bop. As far as TV goes, I've been watching Ghost. Oh my goodness. I watched Ghost this weekend with Amanda and Joe. Let me tell you, I don't care what anyone says, but I was watching it with them. I was doing like a whole acting. I used to be an actor, many, many years ago, child star. But I was like, yo, I think people just really underestimate Monet Tahaja, the character played by Mary J. Blige. There is some really good acting in Mary J. Blige. And I think people are like playing her as a joke, but it's understated acting. It's in the calm and the resolvedness of her performances. She does a lot of acting, silent acting, which Morgan Freeman is iconically known for, where it's very reflective. A lot is said in the facial expressions, but in the calmness, where she hasn't said anything, but you can read everything, you can tell everything, the emotions just emote, and she's really good with that emotional pacing and timing. And I just don't think people are paying enough attention to her, but I just really think she's really good. And I hope people give her guts, because she's really eating this character this season. And this is the final season of Ghost Book 2, or Power Book 2 Ghost, or whatever. But I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing. And even though Amanda just doesn't get it, and the rest of them just think I'm just being I'm overplaying it, but I really think she's bringing her all into this character, and I'm here for it. Enjoying Baddies Caribbean, even though it's getting a little toxic, but I enjoy a good reality show that's messy every blue moon. Really, really like the show. Looking forward to The Bear next week, and very much looking forward to The Bear. Will not give out any spoilers, of course, but I will tell y'all what I think about it and how I feel about this upcoming Emmy Award season. And then, next week, as you all know, is the grand finale of this show, of this season. Not the show, clearly, but this season. The season 6 finale will be here. Supposed to be this week, but I just feel like we gotta catch up. BET Awards is next weekend. I wasn't gonna watch it, but now I feel like I should. I need to see what's going on. I feel like something spicy is going to happen. There's got to be, because that show was a little, Taraji P. Henson is hosting the show, I believe. I think Taraji's hosting. It could be somebody else, who knows. But I'm going to watch it nonetheless. I'm looking forward to this award show. I don't really care about who wins. I don't really feel like there's any like massive winners. Like I feel like music, I don't know. I don't know. This is a weird award show because everything's like in the middle of the year, and I feel like there's still more that needs to happen. But it's just good to just see a show. I just want to see the drama. I do like a good award show. We'll see what the BET Awards produce. I mean, if anything, I want to see the Usher. I do want to see the Usher tribute. So maybe that's what I'm going to drive myself to see is the Usher tribute above everything else. Yeah, I think that's my big one. But no, this is, this week is gonna be heavy. Stay tuned, stay warm, stay hydrated, stay air conditioned, and as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.